Press record, brother. All of everything. Tired but ready. Yeah, same. Calm. Blessed. Treading. Treading water. All right. Phew. All right. I'd like to officially welcome all of us to the throat. We've officially passed halfway. Sheesh. Yeah, I'm ready for this too. I've been feeling like the throat is my energy center. Something that I've been working on over the past few years, my expression, my truth, my ability to listen. We're going to get into all of that today. Um, but Carl has offered to ground us in. So why don't we jump right into that, shall we? Brother Carl, I'm going to spotlight you. Boom. Mute myself. Over to you, brother.
Yo, how's everyone doing? Um, this grounding came to me while I was walking on the beach. The opening of a throat, the opening of our voices. There was something about a collective roar to tell the earth, to tell the demons, to tell the angels, to tell God, to tell everyone that we're here. And just fucking letting it out. And so the exercise that came to me is like a crescendo. So we start really low and soft, just like soft humming noises. And then we just let it grow together collectively in a crescendo. And we just let out a roar of whatever we're feeling, whether it's anger, whether it's grief, whether it's joy, passion, ecstasy. And we just let all of it out into our voices and get as loud as you can. And then as we feel that we've reached the climax, we just slowly descend back into stillness. And so I'd want everyone to turn on their mics and we just let whatever wants to come through and get fucking wild and guttural with it. Get soft if you need. So also the idea is that we're going Super Saiyan. If you don't know what that means, then you're not a man, you're a woman. All right, let's go. Start off real slow. Oh. That's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Before we remove your spotlight, come back on. What made you want to drop in like that? What made you want to take up space like that?
It just came through at the time that it was really important to just like not let the little fears to be like, oh, is this what's supposed to happen? Just feeling the call and being like, no, like this feels right. I want to bring this to the space. I want to offer this. Um, yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Just let myself follow the call.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for that. All right, we'll move them out of here. So, with the theme of the throat, my wife asked me yesterday, she said, are you getting a haircut? And I'm like, no, I'm going to let them see me where I'm at in my full authenticity, my disheveledness, my tiredness. I am here. We are ready to go. Like I said, this is now we are past halfway. And symbolically, too, I feel as though when we enter the throat, it is calling us forward into greater consciousness. And we see this with the fact that the throat and the words we speak, the vibrations we emit, the frequency in those words that we speak, it is, I would say, a mixture between the tangible, where the other energy centers may not be tangible, right? Um, and it's also a mixture of the tangible and the untangible. And now we start discussing energy, frequency, and vibration and resonance. And it is, like I said, it is calling us forward into greater consciousness. And so, what I want to do is I want to start off by kind of feeling into the group and what comes through when we mention the throat. And so one word, two words. When you think of throat chakra, What comes to mind right away? What is the first word that drops in? Drop it in the chat. Close it. Expression, expression, blowjob, choke, creation, truth, expansion, truth, creative expression, authenticity, phonetic vibration, voice vibration, birthing realities, blocks, boundaries, creation, honesty, constricted, presence, voice. You know, it's interesting because if you all remember maybe the first session or two, it feels like the throat and a man's relationship with his throat chakra was on display, right? You had brothers who were kind of shy, blocked, may have shared for like 2 minutes, right? Feeling that deficiency in the throat. You had brothers with an excess sharing for 20 minutes, talking and talking and talking, right? And so we got to see all these expressions of the throat right away off the bat. And so this now is our opportunity to play in a different realm. And we've seen that coming up in the main chat, right? We saw that starting off with the discussion around flat earth, globe earth, and brothers coming in with their expression, with their passion, with their beliefs, right? Voicing their truth, their worldviews. And I think as men, specifically right now with where the world is, we have a duty and a responsibility to speak. We have a duty and a responsibility to listen. And both the spoken word and the capacity to truly listen is extremely important right now. And we can see this in the reflection on the world stage, how truth is being censored, how if you say something against the grain, the mob will come after you with pitchforks, how if you say something extremely controversial, you might get canceled for it, right? In a world of illusions, in a game where there's a lot of deceptive qualities, a man's responsibility and duty to connect in with his throat, to be able to speak truth, to be able to speak with clarity, right? These are extremely important qualities to carry. I didn't understand the Little Mermaid one, but I'm still sit with that. Oh, okay, okay. I didn't watch Little Mermaid, so maybe I gotta go. There's codes in the Little Mermaid for me. When I connect into the throat, I'm noticing how it is all the energy centers as the energy is moving up. It almost feels as though before I'm able to speak, as the energy comes up, it moves through each of my energy centers. And we can see that, right? When we're speaking from reactivity, it's likely coming from a root imbalance. It's likely coming from feeling unsafe. When I'm speaking from, you can feel, no pun intended, you can feel when a man is cut off from his feelings because within his sacral, as that energy moves up and his expression is lacking feeling, right? Or you can feel as if somebody's coming in to try to like dominate you with his voice, dominate you with his truth. It's like an overdeveloped solar plexus. Or if somebody's passive and timid and introverted, it might be representative of an imbalanced solar plexus, right? And then we come up through the heart through that purification, right? Is it loving? Is it kind? Is it true? Is it honest? And then it comes out, right? We also see as the energy descends from the higher energy centers, right? If we are not necessarily tapped in with the soul, with our higher expressions, it comes in kind of flat. The expression is kind of flat. We're kind of regurgitating things we've heard, right? We don't have clear vision into what we're saying. We're just kind of autonomous robots speaking from reaction, speaking from hive mind programming. And so it's like the throat, you can tell a lot. You can tell a lot about where a man is within his own embodiment by his expression. Okay. And the throat itself, although we said that the sacral is the center of creation, right? Our sexual center, right? The throat is coming from a creation of consciousness. Okay. We are, for an example, let's stand up. I'm going to put my gallery view here. Let's all stand up. And we'll wait to see everybody stand up. All right. Now let's sit down. This is what I'm talking about in terms of creation. So me saying, let's stand up, created a reality where we all stood up. Me saying, let's sit down, created a reality where we all sat down. And so how is that happening on a subtle energetic level within your life? Now, the throat chakra is connected to the element of ether, right? And the we understand now that the space around us is not empty. And we are constantly shifting the frequency of the reality that we are in based on the words that we are speaking, based on the words that we are not speaking. Right. And if we take a look back into childhood, I'm going to take a look back into my own childhood and share with you guys, you know, the blockages of my own throat. They've it's been shaped in a way because, for example, like mixed messages through my parents. They would say one thing, do another thing, right? It starts to create this fragmentation of like lies, right? They would lie to me. Not only would they lie to me, but they would also force me to lie to myself. For example, guests would come over to the house and I would express, I don't want to come out of my room and say hi to the guests. It's like, no, you have to. Something as simple as that, right? No, you have to. And so the truth that was being expressed out of me was instantly muffled and silenced and like, no, you have to come out. Okay, I would come out. Or if something would happen, um, God bless my parents, they could be very controlling and critical when I would push back on that, right? Expressing authentically of like, no, this is not fair. I would be told, you shouldn't feel that way. This is your dad. You can't be angry with your dad. So I would have to like lie to myself at a young age to convince myself what I'm saying is actually not right. Right. And as we get older, we start to be conditioned to fit in, right? Our survival is dependent on how we fit in. And so we start to not say things in order to not ruffle feathers, in order to not upset people. Right? We start to say things, and maybe this was my thing growing up where I would embellish stories, starting to kind of learn black magic at a very young age of how to twist perception with my words, how to say what I thought people needed to hear in order for me to be perceived in a way that would deem me worthy of love and acceptance. And so I started to learn how to become a magician with my words, with men, with women. Abracadabra, I create as I speak. And so the reality that I wanted to create was one where I was loved, one where I was valued, one where I was accepted. And so my expression started to become a tool of extraction. My expression started to become a tool of protection. But is this really coming from my own connection with self and with spirit? Some may see how I express online and think, wow, this man's throat chakra is so open. And how does he express truth like this? And like people with their negativity and all of this stuff, and it must come so easy to him. And the truth is, it doesn't. The truth is, it doesn't. My nervous system at some level is still calibrated to perceive oppositional comments as a threat. As I'm learning to refine and expand my capacity to hold my ground as we're working our way up through the energy centers, building more safety within myself, right? Connecting deeper to my intrinsic sense of self-worth, not dependent on how others see me, how others perceive me, what others may judge of me. Start to get more comfortable. It's like one big muscle working together with all these smaller muscles. And so there was a lot of unlearning I had to do through childhood because ultimately, like I said, again, I love my parents. They're coming to visit me today to meet their grandson for the first time. They're staying with us for a week. Um, but my folks were very critical, very sharp, words being used as daggers, words being used as weapons, words being used to mold me in a certain way. And we learn through that. And so I learned the same. I learned the same. I was telling the anchors on our call this week, I didn't fast from food for the first time this month. What I fasted from was not being critical on my wife. Lasted all about 3 days. It lasted all about 3 days. But these are things I'm unlearning. The way my parents would speak to me, there wasn't there wasn't a lot of peace in the words. There wasn't a lot of uplifting in the words. There wasn't a lot of belief in me in the words. It was a lot of transference of their own shame, transference of their own fears, transference of their own unworthiness being projected upon me, blanketing me. And so it's been a beautiful unlearning, finding my own voice in all the ums and uhs and likes and this and freezing and stuttering and finding my own flow, finding the, and it's interesting too, right? I don't know if how many of you have like recorded yourself or even re-listened to a voice note. It took me a long time to not cringe at the sound of my own voice. Like how fucking twisted and interesting is that, eh? How many people you think cringe at the sound of their own voice? Isn't that wild? Yeah, yeah. A lot of brothers are feeling that. I'm still in that myself. Yeah, it took me a while, man. It took me a while before I could just like, it's normal now. Hearing my voice is normal now. But for a while, it was like, that's what I sound like? That's what I sound like? That's how you guys hear me? Yeah. Hmm. So dropping in, what do you feel is the the greatest blockage from a man truly expressing himself from a place of full authenticity, certainty, safety, needing love himself, this embodiment, overthinking, shame, self-judgment, shame, fear of others' opinions, yeah, rejection, fear. Interesting. This portal of creation, which when you look at the structure of the vocal cords match the structure of the birth canal, right? This portal of creation through shame, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment has been captured, has been muffled. And it's interesting because many people believe that Jerusalem is one of 3 points on the earth that represent the throat chakra. And so if you start to connect the dots of what's happening with the world today, why would an occupying force want to occupy the throat? If I was to abuse my wife and keep her hostage as my slave in my home, I would likely want to close her capacity to express. I would want her to be afraid to speak. I would want her to be afraid to speak to others. I would want her afraid to share what she's feeling. I would want her to not be able to say no. And so the work that we will be doing in the throat, this is monumental stuff. And we'll get into why. We'll get into why. Who here feels like they have not taken up enough space in the last 9 months? Truly, maybe by a show of hands on the screen. Who here feels got Jordan, William, Coulter, MJ, Chase, Kareem, Manny, Rude, Brendan, Andrew, Adrian, Philip, yeah, Alexander, Javier. Who here feels like they've, let me lower all these hands here real quick so we don't mix up. Who here feels like maybe they've been taking up too much space? By a show of hands. McBoyle, Jack, Francis, Dr. Tom, Carl. How does a man determine, with everything that we've been talking about in terms of childhood conditioning and shame and fear of rejection and needing to fit in and needing to be loved and accepted and seen, and how does a man determine how much space to take up, when to step back, when to step forward, when to speak, when to remain silent? Just let's let that land for a second. Oof. Grant says, for me, it's speaking because you have something to say rather than speaking because you have to say something. Psh, it's a slap in the face. Scott says, his brother Seth says, using the heart as the filter for when to speak, when not to speak, what to say, and what not to say. Hmm. One of the greatest lessons I learned in my life was in a 5-day vow of silence. Several years ago, I got this signal to take a vow of silence for 5 days. And it was right on the cusp of my wife hosting a retreat. And as you can imagine, she's right about to host a retreat in Costa Rica. All these women are coming in from out of town. And all of a sudden, I show up one morning, written on a piece of paper, I've taken a vow of silence for 5 days. She looked at me like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Are you kidding me? You're abandoning me like this. I need your help. I need you. Like, the women are coming. Like, now you want to take a vow of silence? And she went off on me and I couldn't say shit. Oh, that's the first day I met Adrian and I couldn't say a word to him. And I knew there was something greater than me saying, you need to shut the fuck up and you need to not say a word for the next 5 days and you will see. And this was part of my lesson because as she's sitting there getting ready for the retreat, this is, you're talking about 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago. As she's sitting there getting ready for the retreat, I could feel the part of me that wanted to be involved in her retreat. And she's sitting there planning the days, what she's going to do for the women, da da da. And I'm like wanting to interject. I'm wanting her to put me down, to teach the women something, to do something. There was like I could feel the unworthiness in me being like, please pick me, let me be of service, let me do something. And I couldn't speak. And so I sat there watching her preparing for this retreat. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, if she really wants me as part of it, it will come through to her. Um, No, I was able to write. I just was not able to speak. And so as she's preparing, we're there at breakfast, she's writing down how the days are going to be structured. And I'm like, okay, is she going to put me down? No, she didn't. And it was in that silence where I realized how much of my own worthiness I was attaching to my wife, including me into her projects. And I could feel this part of me that wanted to extract worthiness from what she was building. And it was painful to sit there and be like, oh man, this is what's playing out right now. Like, this is what I'm being led to see. I have to be careful because if I latch and attach onto my wife to extract a sense of worthiness from her, like I'm gonna sink this whole thing. And so as much as taking up space, speaking truth, expressing, communicating is such an important aspect of the throat, so too is shutting the fuck up. So too is truly listening. And I don't think many of us actually know how to listen. Ear, nose, throat are connected. I, I'm not sure if we've actually been at all taught how to listen to one another. Oftentimes, the level of listening that we exist at is internal listening. What that means is I'm listening to you, but I'm personalizing everything. So as somebody is speaking, I see Michael on my screen here. As Michael is speaking to me, I'm hearing it through what I want to respond. Oh, I heard this podcast and I'm gonna tell him what I heard. Oh, my experience and what I heard and how it's like, am I listening to him or am I listening to myself through his voice? Coulter says, listen to respond, not listen to take perspective. And so we have that opportunity now as we enter the throat with all of us here. We have internal listening, right? Where I'm listening to respond, I'm listening to share, I'm listening and waiting for my turn to speak. We have focused listening, which would be more akin to you on a first date, where you might be sitting at the restaurant with her. You're not even noticing the waiter coming by. You're listening to her. You might be asking questions. You're very present. You want to learn more. Right? So we have the internal listening, we have focused listening, and then what I call enriched listening, which is more of a multi-dimensional field, like a bubble that you create where you're hearing beyond the words being spoken, where you're picking up on the subtle energy, the body language. You're fully turned towards this person. You're like absorbing everything that's being communicated to you beyond what they're speaking to you. So now, with your woman, let's say, with your partner, with your brothers, with your clients, with your students, with your community, are you truly listening? Are we truly listening? With the earth, with her children, are we truly listening? That's where the silence comes in. I want to hear from a brother who's recently spent some time in silence. And I'm going to spotlight him here. Just put him on the spot. This is an opportunity for him to practice his expression, to practice opening his throat. And it's an opportunity for us to practice enriched listening to him. Brother Jack, welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
You're a little quiet. I don't know if it's just on my end, but
Hold on. Maybe I'll just try and speak up.
there you go. You're good, brother.
All right, cool.
So the prompt is speak to us on your time in silence.
The silence taught me to listen beyond the mind, to listen to my body, to really connect into the feelings that were deeper than the stories. And for me, the silence was a purifier of the channel between like my heart and my mind. It was the thing that allowed me to see what I really wanted to say. And that's been the most powerful thing for me, coming back into my family space, coming back just into my life in general, and being very clear on what I want to create. Knowing that I have a tendency to go crazy in the mind. So bringing it back here and breathing more deeply and speaking with more clarity.
More.
Mm. The time in silence also showed me what I'm not creating. that I know I need to, that I want to. It showed me all of the dreams and gifts that the child within me has always wanted to birth, that I've just, and all of the ways in which I'm quick to not trust myself. So it definitely built a relationship with my inner knowing, like with the, just like trusting myself. And someone asked how many days it was. It was like 7 days. And yeah, beyond that, removed from technology and everything else, I was really able to connect to the earth and connecting to my ability to be patient and to just watch and observe the world around me, and see myself in it, and really trust what I'm seeing, trust what I'm feeling, just building that trust with myself and walking with more presence.
Beautiful. Do you feel like every man should spend some time in silence?
Absolutely. It's profoundly shifted the trajectory of my life.
What was the primary impetus to take the silence?
In the beginning, it was a reclaiming of almost my own willpower, like because I'd ran away from one of these silent meditation retreats in the past out of fear and the mind and the stories, and I was dedicated to show up for myself. And I went really deep into the commitment to the practice and to myself in that space. So that was the primary impetus to prove to myself that I could spend that time in there and face whatever was there without losing it and listening to my mind too much.
So if what I'm hearing you say is that you wanted a rematch with yourself.
Mm.
Mhm.
And boy, did I get it.
Hmm. How have things shifted for you at home since you've gone back with your woman, with the kids?
uh, I'll share it here. We're in the throat. Uh, the day I got back, the day after, I got back late one night. The morning after, we found out that my wife's pregnant.
Let's go.
And it was so unexpected. And the time in silence brought this ability for me to be so ready for it. I was like not getting lost up here. There was, just like, I was just right here. And I just am, and like continuing to hold that prayer of like knowing that I am like able to show up in the way that I know I need to, taking on the responsibility to be at home more, uh, launching creative projects and like bringing more of myself into this reality, because I know that's like the way that I need to be moving, because my partner is incredibly sick and will be for probably the remainder of her pregnancy. And just being able to hold that space for her in a way that I've like never been able to. And it's showing, because she feels so safe to honor herself and not abandon herself in the sickness. And yeah, it's been beautiful, man. It's been so beautiful.
Congratulations, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. We get to celebrate with you and your family. What do you feel like you're having? Do you have an inclination?
Yeah, boy. I think he visited me in meditation while I was away.
Wow. Bless.
God had visions. It was a crazy time.
Bless, brother. Well, we're all praying for you for a healthy, easeful, strong pregnancy and birth, and may you be the father you're here to be and guide this child into this world, and just sending all the prayers of protection and support, healing for your family. Thank you for sharing that with us, man.
Thank you, man. I really received that. And yeah, I've really felt all you brothers present with me, like when I got back and claiming this. And yeah, I'm so grateful, man. So grateful. Thanks so much for calling me forward to speak.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Wow. Wow. Ditch the folic acid and research how choline creates super babies. Yeah, I second that. Second that. Wow. What beautiful news to receive on this day of creation and expression. Yeah, just reflecting too with my son, like the way that he communicates to us that he's hungry or that he needs something as he cries out. He uses his voice, he uses his throat, he starts emitting sound. And it's almost like that sound, he doesn't even have to communicate in words, but that sound, that frequency triggers and signals something innate within myself and his mother to respond. Right. And that's also too an aspect of the throat. When we reflect on the English language, I think many of you may be feeling this as well, is the English language is quite boxed up, right? In comparison to, let's say, Arabic or Aramaic, where both hemispheres of the brain are being used in communication, there's a lot more that can be expressed and felt through those languages. Whereas like English, they've kind of removed the soul from English. And so even though we feel like we are expressing ourselves, we will come across uh, these kind of filtered walls between one another, which is why refining this ability to express with clarity, to express with authenticity, to be able to tell your story, to be able to explain yourself, to be able to share from your heart, to be able to share from the lessons you've learned in a digestible way, to take the pauses that you need when you're communicating. Also, too, with the throat, we start to understand symbolism, right? A word, let's say bottle, right? The word bottle is it when I say that to you, you're receiving it as a symbol and you're able to like see the bottle. You're able to see a symbol through the word I'm speaking. So we're speaking in symbols. For me, I always thought it was so interesting, man. Here I am making noises out of my mouth, and you're understanding what I'm saying. Isn't that fucking crazy? I'm literally just making noises, and you're like understanding what I'm trying to communicate to you. What a beautiful gift. The gift of language, the gift of communication. I like what Carl brought in from the beginning. I was going to do something similar for us with some humming and some toning. But what I've noticed with my son, when his nervous system is dysregulated and I hold him and I tone, all of a sudden he settles. It's so interesting to observe. He could be crying for whatever reason, and the minute I hold him and I tone deeply into him, his nervous system just settles down and he stops. Yeah, right. And the noises you are transmitting via sound waves transferred for us to hear through speakers that mimic your voice, it's all so crazy. And gratitude to the great mystery that we can even understand each other at some level. And at some level, words are a casualty, as we've seen in the main chat at times. where we might say something and it's taken a different way. Or we may think we're not coming across a certain way, but we are being passive aggressive. We may think we are not being hurtful and harmful with our words, but they're received as daggers. And so the realm of the voice, the realm of expression, it's multidimensional. Who was told don't talk back as a kid? By raise of hands. Don't talk back. Mhm. Crazy, everybody. Don't talk back. I was telling my wife, I'm like, honestly, I kind of hope that our son pushes back because it's like you want that rebellious seed to be nurtured. Because I said so, right? A lot of little subtle implantations, energies that are affecting the way we express now. And like I said, some of you would greatly benefit from a deepening of that expression within your union, for example. I feel like a lot of breakdowns in relationships come from not saying what wants to be said or saying what shouldn't be said. So these next 2 months, this is going to be our arena to practice. And what Brother Seth said so beautifully in his video in the main chat, this is our arena. We've built the trust and the safety with each other for the past 9 months to cultivate and co-create this field, this arena to practice. If you're one of the guys that raised their hands when I said, who feels like they haven't taken up enough space? Welcome. Each one of you is filled with wisdom, insight, connection, things that want to be shared. What Seth also said in terms of like, do a one take, man. Get out of your own way, get out of your own head, forget the fucking need to be perfect, to be seen as perfect and a curated image and all of this shit. Like, it's okay. We're here. We're here. And it had me reflecting on myself in the early years of creating content on Instagram. It'd be like 15, 20, 25 takes for a video to curate this image of like I've got it all perfectly dialed. And then I asked myself one day, I said, bro, you're doing 25 takes for this video. What's it gonna look like when you're asked to speak in person? Because I'm unconsciously refining this need to continue filtering the expression in a way that I feel will need to be perceived by another. And so it took practice to be like, okay, breathe deeply. I don't know if I've got it on deck, but I'll share it in the main group for the guys who haven't seen it. My first video I ever made. It's hilarious. And if you're curious, go down on my IG. I was looking at old videos the other day. I was performing. I was performing. And it's okay. And I keep them up for that reason. It's like, it's okay. The fear of being messy, the fear of stuttering, the fear of stumbling, it's like the fear of it not being perfect. It's like, it's okay. The more I learn to get out of my own way and trust that whatever I'm going to say is going to be perfect, whatever I'm going to say is going to be what needs to be received in that moment by those who are there to hear it. It's like a muscle that I'm training. Trust. Again, connecting to the higher energy centers, trusting this flow that's streaming through me. allowing myself to be a vessel and an instrument for this. And so we'll be putting up some challenges in the coming weeks because I know there's a lot of you that have this desire to be more outspoken online, to have this desire to express and to share, to make videos, to make content and whatnot. And we're going to assist you with that because this, again, is also the energy center of creation. For those that put their hand up in terms of not taking up space, feeling that you haven't taken up a lot of space, just in the chat, for the ones that put their hands up, why? For those that put their hands up saying that they're not taking up, they feel like they're not necessarily taking up enough space. Chase says fear of what others would think. Fear. I feel like I hide when I'm struggling. Interesting. Insecurity. Don't know what to share. Fear of being seen. Messy. Avoid the confrontation of self. Interesting. Fear and shame. Fear of being messy or doing it wrong or of being criticized. Yeah. Fear of being great and the self-abandonment for years. Okay, Manny says, I don't see it as a bad thing, just something that hasn't come up yet. Beautiful. Current life struggles. Yeah. And so if you have, this is your invitation. It's your invitation. Beautiful. Yeah, like Coulter's saying, because I'm practicing listening and hearing, staying present. Beautiful. Yeah, it's not going to always be bad. Some of us could benefit from practice just taking a step back, listening, being present, holding space, receiving. Yeah, we got a couple of brothers who said, I don't have anything to offer. I don't know what to share. You don't have anything to offer is a fucking psyop that you keep telling yourself. You are here. You are alive. You are breathing. You are living. You have so much to offer this world. Like I said very early on, the man who thinks he knows it all and the man who thinks he doesn't have anything to share, you're both fucked off. You both need to get together. And I tell men this all the time. Like sometimes we feel like we need to be, 100 miles ahead to share to the person behind us. But what if I'm just need to be a step or two steps to turn and be like, hey bro, watch that rock, watch that crack in the ground. If you are here as a student of the great mystery, you are also a teacher in your own right. And with that said, I love that, Grant. Your struggle is someone's solution. Every creation of God has a specific, perfect purpose. Yeah, and I've shared this too. If you look at the if you look at your fingerprint and how unique your fingerprint is, right? I don't have the stats here, but I've shared this before. Like it would take millions of years before someone is born on this earth that shares the same fingerprint as you in just one hand. So your expression, what you touch, what you speak upon, how you move through this world, there's nothing else ever that's been like it. All right. So Brother Chase said, fear of what others would think. With that said, bam. Welcome, man. How you feeling, bro? What's alive in you?
Oh, a little nervous, but excited. Excited to be here with you guys.
How's your day going, man? How's your morning going?
Tired,
Yeah.
tired, but open, willing.
Speak to us on this nervousness before I mute myself and remove myself. You've spoken in front of large groups before in person. You've held circles. You've been doing this for a minute. I think that some men may have the misconception that the nervousness goes away, or that it's like they see the final product and they may project and idealize, like, oh, I wish I could be like Chase and just speak like this in front of people. Can you speak to us on your nerves, on your nervousness, and like,
Yeah, to be honest, like the more I have spoken on calls or in front of people, the less nervous I typically have gotten over time. It has to some level gone away. Um, and I was actually thinking about that this morning because it's been a while since I felt this nervous to speak. And I realized that I don't want to lose that.
mm,
That the nervousness, when taken into the preparation, makes for something better to be delivered. That when I'm not very nervous, I don't take it as seriously.
mm,
And so the nervousness is a gift. That the more nervous I've been, the more prepared I usually end up being for what I'm going to be speaking about. And so it's fuel. It can be seen as excitement,
mm,
as, you know, taking this serious, as what I'm going to be communicating is going to be received by a lot of the men. And I want it to be received in a way that's going to be helpful. And so I take it serious.
oh, and so it is. Over to you, brother.
Thank you, bro. All right, brothers. Good to see your faces today. We're going to be dropping in with a little relaxation, meditation to find ourselves on a deeper level, find our voice, to see ourselves. So get comfortable, sit back in your chair, close your eyes when you're ready. I'll hear the music. Place your hand on your throat as you inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Keep going. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The energy from your hand can soften your throat, release any tension in your jaw, neck, your shoulders. On each exhale, feel your body soften, neck, jaw, shoulders, chest. Feel the weight of your body being supported. Find safety within. You are safe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Bring your attention to your throat. Imagine a gentle blue light begins to grow in your throat energy center. With each inhale, the blue light begins to expand. Every exhale, the light clears away heaviness, tightness, fear, nervousness. Relax deeper. In through your nose, out. Again, on your exhales, softly hum. Inhale through your nose. Exhale with a hum on the exhale. Feel the vibration in your throat. See the blue light begin to expand. It's natural, you can open your mouth. The exhale, outside, imagine your throat becoming clearer, freer. Now you find yourself walking through a forest. Green trees, flowers, walking down a path. Continue to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Lightly through your nose, out through your mouth. Find yourself walking down the path. You come upon a hole in the ground. Cave. Top of the cave, you see a staircase descends down into the cave. You stand at the top of the cave, you look down, you see the stairs go down into the darkness. You decide to step down into the cave. Take one step, you go deeper down into the cave. Continue to stay connected to your breath. As you take step number 2 down into the cave and you go deeper. Feel your breath continue to expand and grow, open you. You take step number 3 down into the cave and you go deeper. Shoulders relax as you take step number 4 down into the cave and you go deeper. Your chest relax as you take step number 5 down into the cave and you go deeper. Your shoulders relax as you take step number 6 down into the cave. Take step number 7 down into the cave as you go deeper. As you go deeper, it gets darker. Take step number down into the cave. Step number 9, down into the cave, you go deeper. You take the final step, step number 10, down into the cave, and you go deeper. Now you find yourself on the floor of the cave. At the end of the cave, you see a light. Towards the light, you go deeper. Your entire body relax now as you go deeper into the cave. You go deeper into the cave. You see the younger version of yourself. He's sitting. Sit across from him. See his face. Look into his eyes. And you see a sadness. Sadness that has been found because this boy found it safer to stay silent than to speak his truth. You ask him, "My child, what have you been wanting to say that no one has listened to?" Now listen as he shows you emotions, memories, words that no one has listened to. Stay connected to your breath as you feel what he's feeling, as you see what he's seeing, as he shows you why he has gone quiet. In through your nose, out through your mouth. What have you been wanting to say that no one has listened to? Show him that you are willing to listen. Whatever he wants to communicate is safe to communicate with you now. now repeat out loud to this little boy or in your mind. Thank you. I hear you. I believe you. Thank you. I hear you. I believe you. Now take the child's hand. Feel their trust in you. Go out loud in your mind or in your mind. Let your voice carry the message they've been holding. What do they want to say? As you speak, see this blue light in your throat growing brighter, stronger, solving any knots or blocks that kept you silent. Speak for this child. What does he want to say? He's kept inside for so long. Place your hand back on your throat. Let this blue light expanding. Each breath it expands, opens, and clears. Repeat out loud. I speak my truth with love and power. I give my inner child a voice. I am safe to express myself. So these words sink into your entire body. The blue light expands all throughout your body, down into your chest, down into your legs, down into your arms, your feet, your hands, up to your head. The blue light expands as you are now safe to express. Neck back into your breath. Through your nose, out through your mouth. Open your mouth as you exhale. Begin to wiggle your feet, hands, fingers, toes. Wiggle your arms, your legs. Roll your neck, roll your shoulders. Begin to come back into the room. Take your time. When you're ready, back into the space. Open your eyes. I've spoken to many of you about my relationship with my father as a kid. I had a lot of memories coming up as I thought about what I wanted to share with you guys to open the throat. For those of you that know, my father passed away when I was 17. My relationship with my father was very closed before he passed. He was sick for a large part of his life. Most of the time didn't feel very good. Diabetic since the time he was 6 years old. Multiple kidney transplants. Lost an eye to cancer. And the last 7 years of his life, he struggled with pneumonia from his last kidney transplant that eventually took him. If you look at a picture of me and my father when he was my age, we're spinning images of each other. His childhood was very traumatic. Lost his mom to bone cancer when he was 12 years old. Lost his dad to a heart attack when he was 15. And so he essentially raised himself. And my father was a very angry man. Very closed off. I can think of one somewhat deep conversation I had with him that I remember. Now, because he was sick for so long, my parents knew that he wasn't going to make it for very much longer. He eventually got sick enough that they knew he didn't have very much time left. And so my dad decided to write letters to me, my three brothers, and my younger sister before he passed. And he gave the letters to my mom before he passed and told her that he would let her know when it was time to give the letters to us. When I was 21, I had just come home from a Mormon mission. I had a girlfriend that waited for me. And we were getting married 6 months after I came home from my mission. My mom came to me before our wedding and she gave me this letter from my father. And in the letter, my dad apologized. He told me he was sorry that he hadn't done better, that he hadn't connected with me on a deeper level. And he said that I didn't come with a manual on how to raise me. And that he loved me. And at the time, it made me emotional, to read these words on a page from my father 4 years after he had passed away. And I've always kept that letter in my nightstand by my bed. And I've gone back to it. When I was 23 years old, I was working as a bank teller at a bank, making $10 an hour. But I had this dream to start my own business. I knew that I wasn't the type that would do very well just working in a job. And so I started buying things on classified sites, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, and I would find really good deals, clean them up a little bit, and flip them for more money. Did this for a few years and eventually saved up enough money where I could start a business. So me and my brothers, we came up with this business idea. And basically put my entire life savings, went all in on this business. It was actually a partnership with a dental office. Put my life savings into it. The company couldn't pay us. So I lived off credit cards until the company could pay us. I remember one day being about 6 months in, credit cards maxed out, no money left in my account, no sign of the company being able to pay us anytime soon. And I pulled out that letter. And started thinking about my father, because at this point in my life, I had such a deep fear of failure that I thought if this business failed, it would be death for me. It felt like that would be death. It was my greatest fear. And I was living with this constant fear of how are we going to make this work? And I pulled out that letter and thought about my relationship with my dad, and I felt this anger in me. This anger that if my father had taken better care of himself, I would have someone here to guide me through this process. I was 23, 24 years old. Really had no business starting a business of my own. Had no idea what we were doing. And I felt this anger start to grow. And at first it felt wrong. Like, no, you can't be mad at your dad. He's gone. He passed away. Whenever my family would talk about my father, he was always put on this pedestal, like he was this great man that did no wrong. But as I start to feel this anger grow in me, I realize I was never connected on a deep level to my father. That I didn't have some great respect for him. That he'd wrote me a letter before he passed away instead of sitting me down and telling me that he loved me, that he was proud of me, that he was sorry. For apologizing for not letting me speak my truth, telling me to shut up when he didn't like what I had to say, being disconnected from me when I needed him the most. And I felt this anger start to grow, and I would push it down. That business that we started 4 years later ended up growing it to 4 different locations, brought on investors, a couple $1 million in investment. And 5 years in, still wasn't making money on its own. Because I felt this anger for my father not being there, for not having his guidance, for this anger of him leaving me early. As my worst fear began to come true. The business was failing. We were a couple $1 million in debt to investors, and we decided to shut the company down. Not long after that, began to have an affair on my wife, divorce, ended up in a rental house by myself, far away from my family, hiding, as this anger had destroyed the life that I thought I was supposed to have. And sent me into a dark night of the soul that I'm now so grateful for. But a dark, dark period in my life because I didn't feel safe to express what was inside of me, what was real. About 2 years ago, me and brother Seth were working together. And this anger that I've been holding inside for my father came up. We talked about it. I told brother Seth about this letter, about my relationship with my father, how disconnected it was, how I was angry, how my life had fallen apart, and I was blaming him for not being here, for not taking better care of himself. I had never said the things that I wanted to say to him. And brother Seth invited me to reply to this letter that my father had wrote me, to speak my truth. even though I brought up with my siblings, with my mother a few times that maybe dad wasn't that great, only to see them get angry at me, to not keep this man up on a pedestal. And then I would shut up again. Okay, you're right. He was great. He was perfect. And so I wrote this letter. I expressed myself back to my father in reply to his letter to me. I want to read it for you guys. Brother Seth invited me to write this letter and take it to his grave. My father's grave is about 5 miles from my house. So I wrote the letter and I took it to his grave and I stood in front of his grave and I spoke to this man. About 13 years after he passed, I spoke to this man and I told him the truth. Dad, first off, I'd like to say I love you dearly. You did so much for us while you were here. And I know your work continues on the other side. I'm so grateful for the freight train of generational bullshit that you stopped dead in its tracks for us. I know you loved us. But Dad, I really wish you could have done it better. I wish you could have done a better job of showing me. You found it easier to connect to other people's kids than you did your own son. You say you did your best and that I didn't come with a manual, but that's a cop out. You knew what you were doing. You knew you could do better, but you saw yourself in me and that triggered you to disconnect from me when you know how painful it was to not have a connection to your own dad. You knew you were going to pass away. And instead of utilizing every day we still had together, you checked out early and left a teenage boy lost without a father to fend for himself. That's cowardly. You should have fucking manned up. Instead of showing me king energy, you taught me coward energy. I'm sad you didn't take more time with your son to connect and have a deep conversation. We could have talked about so many cool things, but you couldn't help but being triggered and closed off with me. Anytime I wanted to be silly or funny, you'd get mad and say I was being disrespectful. Fuck you for that. I'll be silly and weird whenever the fuck I want. You want my respect? You should have earned it, like a real father should. You fell short in so many ways, and I'm grateful that you showed me what not to do in so many ways. I will be different thanks to you. I appreciate the distorted compass you have provided me. I love you always, Dad. Now I release these feelings, and I will no longer let them hold me back or look for your validation in others. I validate me. I don't need your approval anymore. I wish it could have been different, but I see that it is all perfect. With all that I am, your son. Seth says, don't forget the cigarette. Yeah, I also smoked a cigarette over his grave because he would have been extremely disappointed in that. So I read this letter to my father, and I had my lighter for my cigarette. So I decided to burn the letter on his grave and release it. And as I stood over his grave, tears streaming down my face, letting this 17-year-old boy speak, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. And I felt my father then put his arm around my shoulders. And I could feel a deeper connection, a deeper love. That he was proud of me. That he didn't want me to hold on to things. He didn't want me to stay quiet. He wanted me to speak my truth. Now our relationship is beautiful. And I see all the perfection in everything that has got me to where I'm at. And I know now that I am the biggest advocate for the child that exists within me. That I can be the father that he didn't have. That I can be a safe space for him to speak, to express himself, to not hold on to shit that he doesn't need to hold on to. So now I invite you guys to close your eyes once again. Drop back in with this child. As you find yourself with his hand in yours, you invite him to exit the cave with you. Let him know he is now free to speak. That he is safe to express. If you've got him now, you will protect him. You come out of the cave, into the forest, you see the sunlight. He thanks you, freeing him, protecting him.
Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved.
Look into his eyes.
Rest in peace.
Tell him you love him.
Dream your sweet dreams
You're proud of him.
till your soul is released. Beloved child, my heart is yours. Beloved child, go out and open doors with your love, with your faith, with your compassion. beloved child, you are the light of the world. Beloved child, go out, spread light to the world. Be strong, be kind, be brave. Know your mind, know that you're divine. Know that it's alright to be afraid. Know that you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released.
Knowing this child is always by your side now, how will you show up for him going forward? Will you speak for him? Will you allow him to express himself? Or will you ask him to continually hold things in? You are this child's last protector. You don't speak for him. Who will?
Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released.
Will you choose him over others?
You are loved. Rest in peace.
Look him in the eyes one last time and make a promise
Soul is released.
that you will no longer ask him to stay quiet, that you will protect him, that you will speak for him. That he no longer needs to hold it in because he has you. And you choose him. You choose yourself first.
Know you are loved. Rest in peace.
Slowly come back into the space when you're ready.
Till your soul is released. Know you are loved. Rest in peace. Dream your sweet dreams till your soul is released.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just let that land for a moment. Bro, you bless us with reading this letter to let us in that deeply into your heart, into your pain, to give us that inside glance into what you've been alchemizing for yourself and for your family. It's got me in my feels, bro. Knowing that my dad is, 3 hours away before I go pick him up from the airport. Becoming a father myself. You know what's beautiful? Is how this man became more connected with his father after his father passed. 15 years later, they started to build a connection with each other. And with his own expansion and embodiment and integration, he started to feel the perfection and gratitude and appreciation for the ingredients of alchemy that his father handed to him. And similarly with my own dad, you can see it in his body fused. He carried those ingredients the best he could until it was time to hand them off. How is that anger for you right now? How is that, like, is that still present for you? Do you feel that's moved through you? Like when you really feel into your childhood and everything?
Yeah, for me it comes in waves still, you know. This healing process is an ongoing process that, yes, I've released so much anger, but it still comes up. My relationship with my father still comes up in my relationship with other men, as you know well, brother. But it's the progress, yes. The dissipation, the awareness of being able to feel it instead of just letting it seep out into my relationships in my life, the creation of my life. Yeah.
I feel, what Chase brought in terms of feeling abandoned by his dad and let down and, not cared for and not guided and supported. I feel the entire world is experiencing that with God. Like, where the fuck are you? Where the fuck are you? And if you haven't ever let out a fuck you, God, maybe that energy is seeping in through other means and other avenues. And everything is so perfectly orchestrated. As the door knocks, my dogs are barking, the cleaning lady is here to clean my house. I'm like feeling the importance of the throat for a form of purification, which is represented in the Sanskrit name Visuddha, which means purification. which is interesting that Chase, expressing himself, allowed that purification to begin to take place. You know what else I take from what he shared is learning from his father of, yeah, what wants to be said to the people close, what wants to be expressed to those that we love. Yeah. Thank you, man. Before we take a pee break, bathroom break, I'm curious in the chat, what did your inner child say to you guys in the cave? And I'll share with you guys what mine said. No. Want to be seen. I don't want this. It's empty and it hurts. Who are you? I love you. I'm sensitive. I've been hurting. Don't leave me. I just want to be me. I have basic needs that were never met. I have a black heart. I'm alone. I just want the love of mom and dad. I want to be playful. I love you. Alone. Believe in yourself. It's about time, buddy. I want to play. That was what mine said. He turned to me and he said he's scared. And then he said, I'm fucking bored, man. Bored. Let's go play. Come on. Bless, man. Any final words, Chase?
Thank you, brothers. Go out and speak for this child. Don't let this just be another meditation that goes forgotten. As you go out this week, you're going to begin to see where you have not been protecting this child, that you have not been speaking up for this child, where relationships are out of balance because you have not protected this child. So go out and integrate this and make change. Speak up for yourself, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because I can tell you in every single one of your lives, there are relationships that are out of balance because you're not speaking your truth. Because you're not protecting yourself first. You're putting other people before you. And that child within you deserves to be chosen first.
Yeah. And Connor said, when I said, what did your inner child say? He said, no. That might be one of the most sacred words that we will exercise and practice, especially if you've been conditioned to fit in, if you've been conditioned to sacrifice yourself for another, if you've been falling into codependent patterns, if you're in the people pleasing, martyrdom, self-sacrifice, these programs and stuff, like the power of your no with love. Oh, no is the synonym for love. No. Yeah, Chase will drop in the music in the main chat. All the songs. All the songs. All right. 2:07 on my clock. 3-minute break. When we come back, we got something special for y'all. All right. See you on the flip. Right. We are back. We are back. Connor, you want to ask your question? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Oh, there he is.
Yes. What do you need from me? Just to ask the question.
Yeah, ask the question, bro.
Well, the question is, what does no look like in taking responsibility and leading your family? And I guess more specifically, I can very easily take over responsibility. Or at least in this case, my partner is very sick at the moment and is unable to do much of anything. Like her blood pressure gets crazy if she goes in the shower, so she can't shower alone. She can't, it's like I'm taking care of a child almost while I'm taking care of my stepdaughter too. And so, no, I'm having a difficult time with understanding no and when it's appropriate and feeling like my no or that my needs are less valuable at this time because of the situation. So I'm curious what can be said about this.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that drops in for me is that nobody can tell you where to say your no and when to say your no. I can share with you my experience in the past 5 weeks is that for the first time in my life, truly, 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 I'm no longer living my life for myself. And even when I'm sitting there and I'm tired and I haven't slept, and all of a sudden my wife is like, oh, we need to clean the pump stuff so I can pump the milk. I got to get my ass up and go clean the pump stuff, as a simple example. And so that's going to be for you. That's going to be for you to see, to feel, right? To kind of feel, when does service turn into sacrifice? Where does sacrifice benefit us? Where do we start losing ourselves? And so what I ask of you, because you brought this in, is for you to drop a video in the main chat. Let this sit, let this integrate, sit with it, whether it takes a few days, whatever it is, and share with us what's coming to you through your own experience through this. Because it sounds like you're in a portal right now, an initiation right now with her being sick. And that's, it's sickness is one of those things that illuminate. It's a great illuminator of truth. Yeah. Thank you, man, for bringing that in. And that's for something for all of us to sit with, when is no coming from a place of selfishness? When is it coming from a place of self-honoring? Yeah. Beautiful, man. All right. All right. All right. We got some. We got some. We got some. Where is he at? Young blood, pure blood. No words. Just do it.
Well, first of all, dude, this session has been a ride. First, I'll say, I feel like for the entire fellowship, I've been in the throat chakra. The entirety of this. I remember the first year we started this, or I joined the fellowship. I would sit when I'm like called here. I would sit for like 2 minutes frozen. Just like, what am I gonna say? How do I say it? And in the past month, I've gained so much clarity that allows me to
see the importance of speaking. And lately, I've been just recording videos on my laptop, just speaking and giving myself codes. Just the power of our own voice is insane. So, I've got something special for you today. Very special for
No words. In the spirit of expression, in the spirit of creation, in the spirit of sharing, Adrian. You're up, brother. You're gonna do it, right?
I'm confused.
Are you're the one that's gonna play it on your end?
Yes. Okay. Open system settings. Hold on. Okay, in order to share my screen, I need to quit and reopen. Zoom.
All right, I'm gonna do it then.
Okay.
Tag me in. Tag me in, brother. Hopefully the sound, share computer sound. Well,
Is it a bit more like a fast slideshow of pictures?
So dope. It's a whole movie. Phew. Alexander, first time having proper FOMO for not being there. Good. Oh man, dope. Truly the dopest slideshow ever. I agree with Manuel. You know, speak to us a little bit on the process.
Went through like 6 iterations of editing. And then last night I was cutting the video down because it was like 6 minutes. I was cutting the video down and I did that in like 30 minutes. I was like, dude, this is the best edit I've done so far. It's kind of just like, how can I capture it? You can't capture it through a camera. You can't capture the feeling. You can't capture the feeling of being with your brothers through a camera. It's more so like the people that were there, they can look at this video and be like, ah, yes, I remember that feeling. But yeah, video doesn't do it.
Yeah. Y'all are saying it was super laggy, eh?
Mhm.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
Just watch the full video after.
yeah. We'll drop it
It's a
in the main
different
chat.
experience.
Drop
Yeah.
it in the main chat after. You know what's interesting? Adrian shared with you guys. He's been in the throat chakra for 3 years.
My whole life.
For
My whole life.
the past 3 years in the fellowship, Adrian's been in the throat chakra. And the first time we called him up to speak, yeah, it was beautiful to witness him meet himself in that moment. And to see how far you've come, bro, in your own expression, in your own creation, and in your own certainty in yourself as well. Yeah. Why don't, before we let you go, why don't you share with the brothers what you're about to embark on?
Going through a whole portal. I feel like I took 3 big jumps to Costa Rica in the past couple of years. There was a lot of sacrifice, a lot of letting go, a lot of stepping in to uncertainty and just going through it. And now I'm about to take a big step to Thailand. I don't know for how long. Um, training Muay Thai, filming content, making a travel show. Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I know there's so much on the other side, but yeah, the past couple weeks I've been going through a huge portal and process of letting go and seeing what I have to see before I go through that portal.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
You got 3 days left on this side of the world before you leave.
I'll be waking up at like 2 a.m. for these calls.
Nice. Yeah, Lionheart's in Thailand too, so y'all can link up. Bless, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the video in the main chat so people can see it properly and have it. And also, too, several brothers have reached out and said, "Can we see the fight footage?" Adrian, how do we make that available so every man can see his entire scrap?
I'm gonna share a Google Drive folder of all the fights.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, you guys can see how timid you are at fighting.
There's definitely some fucking good scraps, man.
Oh yeah,
Ryan and Chad, the heavyweights, went at it. You and Jad had a great scrap. There, all the scraps
yeah,
were so good and entertaining.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, man. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, brothers.
All right. All right, so we got about 30 minutes left. I've got quite a bit I want to cover here before we go. How are y'all feeling? One word, drop in. Temperature check. Jittery. Ready, great, settled. Yeah, beautiful. Inspired, energized, grape. So the throat is asking us to expand our consciousness into understanding frequency, vibration, and resonance. Now, what does resonance mean? Resonance is essentially the matching of the oscillations of the waves. And so we see that when we're trying to harmonize our voices, let's say, right? And Brother Andrew put us through that exercise in the gathering where when I am singing a certain tone, right, to harmonize with me, you're matching that tone, you're matching the vibrational frequency of that tone. Now, what tends to happen is when we have resonance, right, the matching of the oscillations of the wave, this resonance creates an amplification. And so the throat is inviting us into better understanding how are we creating resonance in our lives. The first thing we have to understand is lying creates a lack of resonance with your inner and outer world. And so today we've heard a lot about speaking your truth, sharing authentically, expressing yourself, communicating what you're feeling. This is all a pretty way of saying create resonance with your inner and outer world. So if you're lying, if you're omitting truth, if you're embellishing truth, if you're kind of hiding a little bit of the full truth, like you have a duty to yourself and to the reality that you're shaping to create this resonance. So if you're lying to your woman, if you're lying to a business partner, if you're lying to yourself, lies are the demon of the throat. And we see that very fucking clearly in the world right now through propaganda, through bullshit, through the lies, through the deception. It's creating a lack of resonance. And now, what happens when there's a lack of resonance between your inner and outer world? Like I said, the natural harmony and amplification that occurs from the resonance, this lack of resonance takes a lot of energy. So picture this. My inner kind of stenciling, my inner architecture is in one way. And if my outer architecture and the outer stenciling is in another format, and I'm trying to keep them in alignment, that lack of resonance, it takes a lot of energy, right? The man who is lying, he's wasting a lot of energy to make sure that he doesn't say the wrong thing, that he doesn't say too much, that his body language and his eyes and it, like his energy doesn't give away the lies. Like there's so much fucking energy wasted to keep this lack of resonance going. And so speaking truth into the world is an act of devotion to your peace. And although you may need to confront the ramifications of that truth, although you may need to confront the discomfort of speaking the truth, it is my feeling and my true belief that that man is able to rest his head at night in peace. Now, we are sharing and co-creating this field, and I've spoken about this many times. We are sharing and co-creating this field. What determines the coherence of this field? What determines the coherence of this field? acceptance, my connection to God, resonance, capacity to feel truth. What determines the coherence of the field is your authenticity. Honesty, Seth got it. Honesty, authenticity, willingness to share, to be seen, to be heard. And somebody wrote it far up along in the chat that when he's struggling, he hides. That's creating a lack of coherence in the field. Because if you're hiding, but you're still showing up, what is being presented into the field is not real. And that affects the ether. That affects the resonance of the space that we're in. As men, we're wired differently than women, right? Women, they love to chat, they love to share, they love to, it's like their nervous systems are wired for connection, where our nervous systems are wired for protection and fight or flight. And so for many of us, myself included, adjusting to authenticity, to the frequency of authenticity, turning that dial to the frequency of authenticity, which once was told that this is a threat to my survival, which had my nervous system like this, I'm now adjusting, recalibrating, expanding my capacity for my own authenticity. So how do we create a coherent, resonant field with each other? How do we create greater resonance between our inner world and our external world? These are things you'll take with you and really let marinate over the next weeks and months as we're in the throat. What wants to be said that you're afraid to say? What have you said that was filled with distortions? Because here's another thing, and I'll throw this wrench in this entire ceremony. Expressing my truth. We hear this a lot. You'll have a man say, I need to speak my truth, and then he proceeds to take a giant shit out of his mouth. Does it serve us better to say, this is my truth? Or does it serve us better to say, this is my perception, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I've experienced? Because when we attach the word truth to it, the identity attaches to it. And so, again, this is something for you to sit with and to take, for all of us to take. What is the difference between truth, my truth, the truth? Because if we have come here to also be a guardian of truth in a world of illusions, we are responsible in filtering and purifying the truth from distortion. Now, in regards to the throat, in regards to spoken word, in regards to communication, what do you feel nullifies your polarity, your spark through your words? Drop it in. So when it comes to, okay, yeah, Tom's asking for some elaboration. So if the throat and your expression and your ability to communicate through language is ultimately what creates coherence and resonance, how do we give our power away through the words that we use? Thank you for asking to elaborate. I hear lazy words, speaking out of anger, ungrounded, reacting, negative talk stories, filters that create the reality you want to put out rather than speaking what is, victimization, blame, lying by saying one thing and doing another, changing what we say based on others' perceptions rather than our own, acting small, pretending. Yeah. Right. So I've got a few of them here. We've already talked about lying, right? Another one is absolutism. I can never do this. This always happens to me. You're always like this. You never do this for me. The other, and this is specifically for men, and I'll explain why. The other is complaining, bitching, moaning, negativity. I see this as one of the biggest things that nullify a man's polarity. Why? If I'm complaining, it automatically puts me in a wounded feminine state because it's saying I did not receive what I believe I wanted to receive. It takes me out of co-creatorship with God. It removes my power. It feeds into victim consciousness. It narrows my vision. Seth says, I've often said when you hear a man and woman arguing, complaining, it's hard to tell who's the man. We all fall into these things, right? We're not talking about perfection here. It's about awareness. It's about expanding consciousness. It's about understanding how we trap energy with the words that we're speaking. How we're casting spells on ourselves and on our experience through the words that we're speaking. So if you find yourself bitching, complaining, having a negative outlook on things and speaking that into existence, what is it that you're creating? What kind of a reality are you experiencing? Grant says complaining is the utopia of entitled victim. And notice too how subtle it can be. This was something somebody woke me up to once upon a time. I always used to say, we'd be doing something. We'd be camping, we'd be out and about, and I would say, oh, you know what would make this perfect? And the man turned to me and he said, don't ruin good with perfect. It's like because of how I was conditioned through childhood, there was like a critical eye that could good and bad. In the good, it could see what was possible, what potential lays in the spaciousness, and the bad of like, am I taking away from my experience because of what I'm perceiving is missing in this moment? If we are one with our creator and everything under the umbrella of creation is perfect, then how would the stories of my life be narrated through the voice of perfection? And not from a place of bypassing responsibility. Everything is perfect. Everything happens for a reason, negating my responsibility and cause and effect. But by speaking power into my experience, by bringing and manifesting the divine into my experience through my voice, through my words. Another way that we create a lack of resonance and incoherence. Here's the other one. Grant was saying, and often men complain about our wife because we lack self-respect and don't wish to acknowledge it. That's one of the things I've said is, before you complain about your wife not respecting you, ask if you respect yourself. Right. The other element of spoken word that creates a lack of resonance is talking shit about people, gossiping. As men, we may not do that as much as the women do, as much as the sisters do, but it's still present in some circles. It's still present at times. Before you bring another man's name into a conversation, be sure, would I say this to his face? Would I say this to his face? It's easy because talking shit, gossiping, right? It's like there's a Imam Ali, I think, an old Muslim scholar used to say, backbiting is talking shit. Backbiting is the dog food in hell. So talk shit, you can't help but swallow some of it. So we have lies, we have complaining, we have negativity, gossiping. These are all creating a lack of resonance in the field. And it's easy to talk shit and gossip because it makes the spiritual ego, makes the identity feel elevated by trying to lower a man down. Yeah, similarly with the talking shit, when we spit poison, when we try to enact harm with our words and our voice, when we spit that poison, we swallow that poison. One thing I've continued to learn is the difference between speaking words of war and speaking words of peace. There's a lot of words of war in my home growing up, a lot of yelling, aggression, cutting down. What we damns us back. Again, like, this isn't about being perfect. This isn't about necessarily getting in your own way and over filtering yourself in order to to be what you think is this like holier than thou expression. This is an invitation for an expansion of awareness and consciousness, to take responsibility for what you emit out of yourself. You know, the old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's like it's calling us into consciousness, because so often we speak from unconsciousness, trying to fill the silence. You ever had a road trip with somebody and it's just silent and you're feeling super awkward, so you start to speak? It's like, I'm only speaking because I feel uncomfortable. And so we have the distinction between words of war, words of peace, words that will uplift, words that will bring down and cut down. The other thing that the throat is asking of us is to really be selective of the voices that we are listening to and the noise that we are taking in, that ends up becoming woven into our own voice. How else? How else do we trap energy with the words that we speak? What are some things that we say unconsciously that are trapping energy in a space of lack? I can't. I wish. I am. Mm. Only if. I don't. If you just. Yeah. I'm not. I don't know how. Right. So there's a lot of good ones here. I really need to become more disciplined. I am learning the importance of discipline. Do you feel the difference between the two? I really need to be more this way. I really need to have more compassion for myself. What am I saying? I lack compassion for myself. I'm speaking lack over myself. I am learning how to become more compassionate with myself. I'm speaking expansion over the moment. Ryan says one implies lack, the other implies devotion to mastery. I really should be doing this. When you shit on yourself, right? You should on yourself. Don't should on yourself. So there's very subtle ways in which we speak that end up trapping energy in an experience of lack, that end up giving our power away. James said, "You make me feel." Nobody can make you feel anything. It's what you are making it mean through the lens of your own beliefs that is giving you the experience of what you are feeling. And ultimately, right. And Roger says, and we're going to get into prayer. That's how we're going to close it off. It's interesting to listen to a prayer as they often spoken from lack. Oftentimes people pray like a beggar. Please, God, give me more faith. Please, God, give me more. It's like you're begging. You're a beggar. It's different when you say, continue to give us more faith. Please give me more faith. Continue to give us more faith. Continue to fill our hearts with love. Continue to bless us with good health. Now we're talking, right? Now as we're in the throw, unintended. Now we're talking. Now this is calling us forward into seeing this game in non-physical ways. So what our invitation is in the next weeks, 2 months, is to start really being aware of the words that we're speaking, how we're speaking them, the frequency of them. How are we listening? How are we receiving another? Where are we taking a step back when really we're being nudged to take a step forward and fill up that space? Where are we talking just to hear the sound of our own voice when we need to kind of shut the fuck up and like sit and receive? Where are the stories of your life wanting to be shared and told? Use this space as a way to practice. Practice. You have your small ships, right? Everyone got their inner monologue going. Your throat chakra and your mind doesn't shut the fuck up, right? Bring it in. You have your small ship, you have your larger group. Use these as the multiple arenas to practice. Let me read this out loud here. One of the interesting pieces of this practice is the urge around speaking, rooted in those sneaky disempowerment programs. Are we unconsciously looking to take pain away by stepping in to resolve, to fix, to advise, etc., to not allow a child, adaptive child, a loved one, etc., to experience discomfort? Yeah, we notice this, right? A man will share, oh, I'm going through this with my wife, da da da, da da da. Right away, our own discomfort, our desire to be the savior, our desire to fix him, our desire to jump in. Right? It's natural. We want to be of help. We want to be of service. We've got codes. We've got insights. I want to, I want to reach out. Notice, because a lot of you are already doing work in your own circles, work with your own students, right? Work in your communities, with your children. Where may we be interfering? Where maybe are we interfering with a man's lessons? Where maybe are we not trusting God to guide this man to see what he needs to see, and we're jumping in to show him? Which is why another aspect of the throat, which connects to the listening, is to ask questions. Ask questions. The work that you're doing as leaders, as teachers, as guides, as way showers, asking a man a question when he's sharing You may already have in mind what he may need to see, but it's a lot more powerful and ingrained when he's led to see it himself. And so through the practice of asking powerful questions, he's moving through that question you asked, he's moving and he's going to connect the dots. As opposed to me just like, hey, don't you see it? Now, how I want to end this is bringing in the power of prayer. The power of prayer. I think that's been lost on us and almost taken from us. You have to pray this way. It has to sound this way. You pray when times are tough. You forget about prayer when times are good. Right? By a show of hands, we're back into gallery. By a show of hands, who has held their wife, their partner, their child, and prayed over them? Yeah. Yeah. That's the power you hold, man. You have that fucking power and that connection to God to quite literally hold your woman and be like, come here, let me pray over you. And you pray over her peace of mind. You pray over her healing. You pray over her ease. You pray over her. Like you have that power, that grounded masculine power to hold your child and to pray into them. You'd be surprised at what that does to settle the energy in that moment. The vibrations of your voice, the words that you're speaking, creating this resonance and this coherence back into a place of connection and peace. Don't underestimate your power of prayer. And this is something that I've practiced just like a muscle. You know, I remember when I first got married and my wife asked me to pray over us. And I was like, what do I say? What do I say? You know, the next time you're in a heated conflict with your woman, can you have that discernment and that awareness to say, babe, can we take a moment? Come here for a second. Come here for a second. Come. Just stop. Just come. Hold my hands. Come. And pray over that moment. May we return to our hearts. May we see each other beyond these distortions. May we remember that we are on the same team. May we remember the love that exists in this home. Okay, I'm sorry. What did you have to say? Notice it will be shifted immediately. Part of the deceptive quality within this game wants you to be hopeless, wants you to be disconnected from God, wants you to be disconnected from your power of prayer. It wants you powerless when shit is popping off in your home and you've got money worries and health scares and this and that and the pressures and the anxiety of the world. Like, where is your power of prayer? I may have shared this already once. I'll share it again because it's coming to mind. We were flying, my wife and I, on a plane, and turbulence was crazy. people were holding each other and all scared, and people are crying on the plane, and it's just rattling like crazy. And my wife, I looked at her and she was like, oh, the fear of death had gripped her. And in that moment, I held her and just prayed and toned over her, just toning and praying and toning and praying. And within moments, she settled. I settled. The plane was still going crazy, but everything was okay. Now I want to put a brother on the spot to close us off. Is there a man in the space? We got 48 of us here live. Is there a man in the space that wants to lead us through a prayer to close this circle? A man who may feel nervous. Jaybird, put his hand up right away. Absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome. I'm glad you put your hand up, man.
Thank you, brother. I'd like to say, start out, let's just take a deep breath in, blowing all our air out, filling up the belly all the way to the chest. Hold at the top. All right, here we are in the throat, communicating with the creator in everything that we do. And just find it very important, like we were speaking of a little bit, to not ever pray for what we don't want. And because we're all creating, it's just co-creation. And it's just been a really beautiful practice that I'm continuing to learn. And I'm very grateful for the teachers that I've had on the path who have learned from generations and elders in this way, this nature-based way of communicating with the universe. So just want to say good evening to the creator within and all around us, and just thanking us for this opportunity to take this breath and to sit in this circle with this men who are putting in energy into their lives to make their lives a better place, and in turn making the world a better place. I want to pray for every brother here and every person on this planet, really to find their hearts and find what brings fulfillment. I would like to pray for the brothers here in the fellowship who are leading by examples, pioneers on the front line of this new earth, that we can continue to develop within ourselves the integrity, the discipline that it will take to create this new earth, and to lead by example for those who will come around after us, for those all around us, for the entire planet. I would like to pray for our dreams, that we can continue to walk and put diligent energy into our dreams to create and co-create this beautiful dream, collective dream, that we are creating a beautiful, more peaceful earth. I would like to pray for all of our relations, all of our relationships, to find harmony so that we may speak our truth and anchor our post as men into the ground, to create the tone for polarity to take hold within our relationships on the earth. I want to give thanks to and gratitude and prayers to all the women. And I would like to ask and pray that all the men really hold space for the women on this earth, in this realm, for the mother, for the great mother, Mother Earth, the feminine waters, the masculine waters, that we have clean waters for many generations to come. I want to pray for the soil, for the microbes, that we continue to care for the earth, that we look to the earth as it is ourself. We start and begin to take better care of ourself, in turn taking better care of the earth. I want to thank all those who have come after us and give gratitude to every being that has stepped foot and put their hands in the dirt on this earth, and just giving thanks and gratitude to what it might have took for us to get here today, and to just hold that gratitude within every cell of our bodies. The Creator emits gratitude to creation, the primordial spark of creation. just continuing to express gratitude, to looking to the beauty of life and honoring the beauty as everything that is beautiful is has a polar opposite, and loving the opposition just the same, as it creates this reality, just holding more and more love in our heart and more gratitude, and continuing to open our heart, that this fellowship continues to envelop in the most solid foundation of masculinity, that we continue to hold each other and learn from each other, and we get to see each other and hear each other and continue to open our hearts to any opposition that we find on the path, that we continue to move in this way of respect, deep respect for ourselves, deep respect for each other, as we continue to grow together and we continue to scale community, that we do this together, and we always look to each other in respect, and we continue to bring these value systems that we create, that we hold within our hearts, that we really anchor them as the foundation of what we're doing and how we're moving. These value systems, this integrity, the discipline, the respect, the love, honoring the mother, honoring the father, and just thanking the light source that continues to shine down on everything, just continuing to see this reality for what it is and what it might have taken to get here, thanking the sun, thanking the moon, thanking all the energy, the oxygen molecules that caress our cells and keep us alive, and all the animals, the animal kingdom, the stone people, all that creates this reality. We continue to move with peace and with love and with gratitude. And with that, say Aho Mitaku Yasin. Thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, Aizen. Thank you, fellowship.
Thank you, Jaybird.
You're welcome, brother.
Thank you for all you've walked and cleared out to be able to hold that prayer and to live that prayer and to share that prayer with us and with all those that you serve. Yeah, as Ryan said, man is holding the prayer. Yeah. Holding that drum beat, bro. Brothers, the throat is officially open. Here we go, embarking on these next 2 months of expression, creation, being more conscious with our words, those spoken and those unspoken, the frequency and vibration emitting from our being, the resonance or lack thereof that we are creating in our reality, the power we hold with our prayer, the duty and responsibility we have to not speak poorly and negatively and complain over our reality and our God-given perfection of an experience tailor-made for us, tailor-made for our expansion and our evolution. And so we'll be bringing in some challenges for the throat. And one of those challenges, Seth brought it in already. Seth brought it in already. Use this as an opportunity to drop in a video, share through a voice note. Allow this to be the arena where your voice is found and heard and refined. Practice, play, experience. Your voice is needed, right? Your voice is needed in this world. All right. Blessings to all, blessings to all, blessings to your voice, blessings to your authentic expression. May it open, may it flow freely, may it flow with grace. Take care of yourselves, brothers. Have a blessed rest of your day. We will see you in the Discord. See you next week in session. Peace and love. Peace and love.